and welcome to another edition of Meet the Neighborhood. I'm Andrea Beitel, your local realtor with Cloud Realty and Gilmore Property Group. And I'm so pleased to have with me today Michelle Hillier. She's the creator of Breath and Fire. Welcome,
Hi.
Michelle.
Hi, Andrea. I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited about your new venture that is new, but also sort of building upon a foundation that you already had.
Sure.
Can you tell us about it?
I would love to. First of all, the work that you're doing with Park Bench and the neighborhood I think it's just awesome. I love this neighborhood. I've been here for over 22 years, and then like High Park, Junction, Bloor West. And, I spent half my life in sort of, I guess we'd say, small town suburbs. And I always found that small town feel that I never thought I'd have in Toronto. So I love what you're doing, gathering people together and sharing just how amazing this community is.
Thank you.
So in my time here, Breath and Fire is an evolution of what I've done for the last probably 25 years in wellness and movement and dance and fitness. Way back in 2007, I can remember, I think I was one of the first Toronto boot camps that was happening in Rennie Park back then. It's 15 years ago. And a lot of those ladies, they were all ladies, are still with me. We become friends and they're not clients too. So we had a lot of fun doing workouts in the park early in the morning. And we did actually, I had a permit obviously in the park, and we got a noise complaint one day for having excessive laughter in the park.
Oh,
That's the permit. So that's a memory that I hold, that we just had a lot of fun. I like to take fitness and movement and make it fun and accessible for people. From there, I used to rent space at the Legion before it became residential. And I have, again, an amazing memory of 75 people, big dance party. There might have been a noise complaint there too. No, just kidding. But I love to get the community mobilized through movement and feeling good and connection. And that led to, I actually had a studio up in the Junction. For a year and a half, I had to try the bricks and mortar thing. It was called Fit to Dance. So I've been around in the neighborhood. And then my work also took me outside into education. So I was a teacher and left the classroom to start all of this venture in 2007. So as I had work happening in schools and with teachers, I still had my heart in the community. And Breath and Fire is an evolution of that. It's post-pandemic. A lot has changed in my personal life and my idea of what wellness and fitness and movement is. But it just, it truly is an evolution. So taking those ideas of movement and wellness and also personal development. So I think we can't ignore that piece. So I can't just go to a gym, work out, feel good, leave. You gotta kind of look at other areas of your life that need to be sort of unearthed. And that's what Breath and Fire is a combination of the movement, the mindfulness, and the personal development. So it truly, I feel first time in my life, feel like the work I'm doing is aligned perfectly with who I am and what I think the world needs. So I'm super excited about it.
very exciting.
Yeah.
And the Breath and Fire concept, I know it includes a couple of streams, that might be suitable to some people and not others. And then they would have a different path for the people that don't get caught by the other streams. Can you describe the homecoming and the coaching?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, for sure. So the homecoming is like a little small group exclusive program rooted in the Breath and Fire values and all the work that it does, involving, like I said, the three pieces are always apparent. So always intentional movement. It's not a workout. It's not dance. It's not yoga. I do teach all those. I'm a teacher of all those forms, but I fused it together to just really create a functional movement experience to music. I'm super music driven and get very creatively inspired by music. I think music can be a huge driver in the way our body moves. So it combines everything from yoga to dance to fitness, but it's really done in an accessible way. So that's the one piece. The second is exposing people to evidence-based mindfulness practices. So I'm a meditation teacher as well. I've gotten really into breath work as well, and just showing people an easy way to, calm, finding that breath. So finding meditation practices that work for them. And then the personal development side. So homecoming is 3 weeks. And it is 12 individuals are part of the program. And I did a couple of test groups back in December, January with some dear friends and clients, and got a lot of really great feedback that for me, valuable to make changes. And it is an immersive program for people looking to kind of get unstuck from something. And because we're using our physical body and our mind and unearthing sort of some, pieces of their lives they might want to look at a little deeper. So we meet every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 3 weeks in Homecoming, not on weekends. I give people the weekends to themselves because we do have a live Zoom call, a Zoom like experience at 6:30 in the morning. So people might think of that and go, God, 6:30, I don't do mornings. Two things. You can either give it a try. Mornings are beautiful. They're quiet. They're time. I'm not sure if you're a morning person, Andrea.
I am. Yeah.
I have so much joy in my mornings before my son gets up, and it's just my time. So that's been a whole new routine for me, is embracing the morning. So if you're not a morning person, it's only half an hour. But then there's that accountability of the group being there. It does get people that don't think they're morning people out. It really does. And then if it's not your thing, I record them. So you can do them at your time. If you want to drop the kids off and do it at 9 o'clock, that also works. And then Tuesday, Thursday, they're pre-recorded sessions. So Monday through Friday, you're moving with me for half an hour. Also given guided meditations at night, just small ones to wind down, sort of attached to a theme that we're looking at. And then some personal development activities. And what each week focuses on is one of my A's that I developed. So awareness, acceptance, and action. So really it's those 3 steps that I've taken in many areas of my life. First becoming aware. Like awareness and willingness is really the first step. And then secondly, accepting it, and then making some action steps. So by the end of the 3 weeks, I hope that the individuals in the group have some tangible takeaways that they can start making small changes in their life. It's not a life-changing program in 3 weeks. It's not going to be. It's just a start, and it's with like-minded people. So that's great. That's Homecoming, and then the coaching is an evolution, or like a longer version of Homecoming. So it's 6 weeks, and you're still invited to be part of all those intentional movement experiences. You get the meditations, but you also get one-on-one time with me every week for an hour. And there's a lot more hand-holding and guidance with the coaching. So it is truly like a wellness coaching program involving very holistic, like mind, body, soul experiences.
Amazing. I can't even think of a more important time for something like this than right now, because I think during the pandemic, maybe this is obvious me saying this, but so many people became stuck in different aspects of their lives and are just sort of working through that now, trying to become unstuck and trying to develop new or redevelop old healthy habits, as opposed to difficult habits that may have been formed during isolation and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
I know your story. We know each other. We sang in choir together, and we've had a good time with music and movement and all that sort of thing. Even though I know you, I didn't know your story about what brought you to the point of creating Breath and Fire. And it's an incredible story. I'm hoping you feel comfortable to share it today.
I'm happy to.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'll give the Coles notes. If you want to go on Instagram, you can see the longer version day by day. It's Michelle at _Breath and Fire. But truly, yeah, Breath and Fire came out of a need to create something in the absence of something I couldn't find. I had to create it for myself. So as we all know, the pandemic totally rocked people's world. It was completely life-changing. The isolation and the change in my personal day-to-day was absolutely mind-blowing, because I was again, we could talk for an hour, Andrea, about the build up to it, but really my work was what I loved so much. I was traveling like across the continent because I kind of floated into corporate work the last 3 years before the pandemic. So I was getting hired by large corporations and banks and insurance companies and retailers to come in and do wellness activations at their conferences. So getting people moving and talking about the benefits of moving. So really, I found such joy in that. So that every day, as of March 2020, I felt like I got an email saying canceled, pivoted, going online, and I had keynotes booked up at this point. So I was already kind of entering that speaking market, which is something I really wanted to do. However, everything's meant to be. I wasn't meant to do a keynote until I went through what I went through. That's truly what I feel is meant. I feel like everything happens for reasons, and we can say that easily, but I really truly feel that now. So yeah, one of my escapes was work for sure. My mother was diagnosed with dementia during COVID. It all kind of came to light. So I had to get her into a nursing home. I'm your typical sandwich generation. I've got my 10-year-old James and I've got my 87-year-old mother. So I'm an only child. So it's a lot of pressure. And I've always been, this is where alcohol comes into the story. I've always been a social girl, like from my teenage years, university. I think it's a very similar story that people can relate to. And then motherhood rocked my world. Again, we could talk about that for a whole episode, but I definitely leaned hard into escaping the pandemic with alcohol. And it served me till it didn't serve me, until it became affected me in many ways. I felt kind of out of control with it. And that led me to seeking treatment and getting my life in, like, really, it gave me a chance to discover and uncover why I was drinking. And it was at many different things. It wasn't just one or a few. And really what I've realized is that whenever that intuition or that strong feeling that we have inside, where we know what the right answer is, or our authentic self is talking to us, I was numbing it with alcohol. And I was making the wrong decisions, but the alcohol was helping make those decisions that I thought were right, but my gut was telling me no, that it was making it better. It was taking that edge off, which we all hear that word, right? The day's over, take an edge off with a drink. So I went to treatment, and I've been in recovery right now. So I've been in recovery since December of 2020, and it has been absolutely life-changing. I've made a lot of big life changes myself, but the biggest is sobriety and the absolute serenity that comes with that. I'd never thought I'd be here. I always thought alcohol had to be part of my life, for fun, for social, for hobbies, it was just woven and marketed well to us as women. I think you can understand that. I read books on all that, right? So just finding joy in like the simplest things now. And I feel physically better than I ever have felt in my whole life. And there I was on stages talking about wellness and taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. And I really wasn't like doing that with myself.
Right.
So that led to Breath and Fire. And what I realized in recovery is that heightened self-awareness of my authentic self really was coming alive throughout the day by recognizing when I needed breath and when I needed fire. And breath meaning the calming, like finding your calm, solitude, nature, rest, not napping, but resting. And then when to find your fire, when your passion is ignited, being around people, moving your body, doing a hobby, engaging in things. And I would think I was on fire for 20 years. My flame was just burning crazy. So I really found my calm and I found my breath. And that is where Breath and Fire came from.
Incredible. And you've just touched on the concept that I find particularly interesting, and that's of your fire, your inner flame.
Yeah.
And particularly reigniting your inner flame.
For sure.
How did you come up with that?
You know what? Someone maybe had said to me, like, I read it somewhere, heard it somewhere about this pilot light. They felt like their pilot light was on. And I thought, God, yeah, that's what I feel like during COVID. I was on a pilot light. There was nothing I could do to spark it. Yeah. And then I thought about my life before that, and it was like a raging inferno. So it was these two, and then, in therapeutic worlds, they talk about hyper and hypoarousal. So we want to be on the swan ride, but we end up going on like a roller coaster.
Yes.
And that's what I felt like I was in daily, was on a roller coaster, right? And that meant modifying my flame and realizing I can have a controlled blaze and not a pilot light or an inferno, and just keeping that controlled blaze. And that led to this whole fire flame. I got a tattoo of a flame. Everything just resonates with me so hard with that flame idea, because I find our flame is like our soul, like our heart and soul. So the idea of that we all have this inner flame that we're trying to keep at that optimal level. And that means in all areas, not just in how you move your body, but in how you move through your day. So truly, as you mentioned earlier, Andrea, we're coming out of post-pandemic. There is many people are going through many things, whether it be job loss, grief, trauma, coming out of isolation, bringing up some depression, anxiety, body issues around maybe their physical self, not taking care of themselves during the pandemic. I've seen it all. Substance use, some sort of addiction of sorts, online shopping or eating or food, drugs, alcohol. We kind of put ourselves into a really vulnerable position during the pandemic where a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah. And how should people contact you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in the neighborhood. I mean, I know a lot of local moms and dads. My son goes to Swansea, so I'm kind of always around. I love walking.
Yes.
Andrea always sees me walking. Walking has been a huge, and that's actually something that has sort of arisen in my recovery is like in the past, in terms of taking care of my physical self, it was always harder, faster, stronger, find the HIIT class, find the CrossFit, run. I have like taken that all away and I walk a ton. I do a lot of stretching in my own sort of like moving around at home, intentional movement. And I'm so much happier in my body, moving it the way it wants to move. So you can find me walking somewhere, or you can find me at breathandfire.com. The new website is up and running. And then Instagram is Michelle, I think at Michelle_breathandfire. And Facebook is just my name, Michelle Hillier. So easy to find me that way, or email michelle@breathandfire.com.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Are there any final thoughts that you'd share?
I think just with people is always that hesitation because it is digging into deep stuff for people. It's change, right? And just because my story did involve the alcohol and recovery that way, I think we can all be in recovery from something, because that really is getting back to your authentic self. And if we ask ourselves, when did I last feel like myself? A lot of people have to take a long pause to think about that. And I know life happens, and jobs, parenting, aging parents, everything happens, finances. But if we can really take that time to go inside, it is hard. I'm not going to say it's easy, but having the willingness to do that is the absolutely first step. And even small little changes can make a big difference in people's lives.
Amazing.
I can see that for sure. And Andrea, before we go though, I have a little surprise for you. I think I wanted to get you to do a little breath and fire with me.
Oh, yay.
Do you want breath or fire, or a mix of both?
I'm having the kind of day where I feel like I probably need a mix of both.
Mix of both. Okay, so we're just gonna do people can do this at home in their seats or whatever. We're just let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. So all we're gonna do is kind of like bop our head to the beat. And you get that little voice in your head where you're like, I don't know what to do. It's all good. Let's snap together. Let's snap. That's it. So we can just find some joy in movement anywhere we are, and then take a big breath in. Breathe up with your arms, and then bring it down to your heart. Again, fill those lungs up to the nose, back to the heart, and back to little snaps. Andrea, thanks so much for moving with me, doing some breath and fire.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thanks for
Have
everything.
a great day.
You too. Bye.
And I don't know what I did to get lucky like this, but it's yours.